Hi YouTube fans, this is Pyron here again with 5 words to help you on your journey to success in the English language. The first word we will cover together is observant. Observant means to pay keen or strict attention to something. Allow me to tell you about a study that was conducted back in the ancient year of 2005. A group of researchers took Japanese and European exchange students, made them sit down in a room, and watch a video of fish swim in the ocean. Fish swim in the ocean or in a bowl, doesn't really matter. And while the students were watching the fish swim, the researchers were actually tracking their eye movement and afterwards interviewed them. What they found was astonishing. The Japanese students were more likely to pay attention not just to the fish in the foreground, but also in the background as well, paying attention to small, insignificant details, whereas the European students were more likely to focus on 1 or 2 specific main objects in the foreground. If you are an observant student, you will have noticed that there is a dinosaur doll as well as a red name tag in the background if you are observant. Another way that we can use observant is when we talk about religion or people who are religious. If you are an observant Christian, you will go to church once a week on Sundays. If you hang around the PNU area long enough, chances are quite likely you will see a few female exchange students from Muslim countries who have headscarves wrapped around their heads. These women are observant Muslims. So we can use observant to describe people who are religious. For example, observant Muslim, observant Christian, observant Buddhist. Or we can say, if you consider yourself to be a truly devout mujaker, you can joke around and say, oh, I'm an observant mujaker. The next term we will talk about is constrict. Now, before we talk about the word constrict itself, let's talk a little bit about snakes. Now, I'm sure all of you have seen at least one snake in your lifetime, probably at the zoo. Now, snakes can be divided, I believe, into 2 categories. Snakes that are venomous or snakes that are non-venomous, non-poisonous, right? Venomous means poisonous, but that's another story for another time. I digress. Now, snakes that have no poison, how do they kill and eat their prey? They can't bite their prey because they have no poison in their fangs. So instead, they wrap themselves around their prey and constrict them. So constrict means to apply pressure on, choke, or squeeze. Here's a better example that doesn't involve snakes but humans. If you are observant, you will have noticed that these days in winter it is fashionable and useful to have a long, warm, padded coat. Personally, I do not own or wear a long padded coat because I do not like the feeling of my movement being constricted. I also don't understand why parents buy these long padded coats for their young children, because young children, when they go to school, they want to run around and be free. They don't want their movement to be constricted by a coat. A better example, I guess, more relevant to us would be a metaphor when you can say a bad GPA can constrict a better future. And those of you who do not want your futures to be constricted by poor academic performance are probably studying English at Mujak or going back to school. So remember, we can use constrict, which means to choke, right? To choke or squeeze, literally or metaphorically. Let's talk about the easiest word of today, which is restriction. Restrict means very simply to limit. If you watch a zombie movie, and this is the first example that I can think of, usually in a zombie movie there is, I don't know, a city or town or house filled with zombies, and it is walled off, and on the outside there are police officers, soldiers, and behind there's a big sign that says restricted area, do not enter. A more common example that I found, which is more relevant to me personally, is a restrictive diet. If you take medication, usually doctors will put you on a restrictive diet. For example, my doctor told me, no meat, no ramen, no hamburgers, no soft drinks, and no alcohol. And I said, and this was back in university, so I said, Doctor, that's all I eat. Alcohol, ramen, hamburgers, and alcohol. That's all I eat as a university student. This diet is too restrictive. Now let's talk about literal. Literal means free from exaggeration, characterized by facts, and I'm reading this because literal has its own literal definition. We're talking about literal today because I believe literal is too overused, and not only is it overused, it is overused incorrectly. If you watch American dramas, soap operas, many teenagers, young people talk like this. Oh my God, did you know that at the Nike store, sneakers are literally 50% off? And then the other person says, oh my God, literally, we have to literally go down to the store now and buy them, or else literally there will be none for us left. Please, I beg you, do not speak like this. It makes you sound a little bit uneducated. A better, more eloquent way of speaking is, instead of saying literally all the time, use the literal definition of literally. How about this? The literal definition of hongik ingan is to live and work for the benefit of all mankind. The final word we're going to talk about is prowess, which means to have extraordinary ability in something. Those of you who are studying at Mujok, if you study long enough, you know that your English will gradually improve and you will be able to find a good job or go to a good graduate school. But you can't go to a future employer or a future professor and say, I speak good English, right? You can't say that. Nobody's going to believe you. They're going to say, where's the proof? So what do? You take the TOEFL, TEPS, or TOEIC exam in order to prove your English prowess. Here's another example that I have from university friends. Many of my male university friends, male freshmen, they volunteered for the Marines, right? They volunteered for the Marines even if they were lazy, stupid, fat, and weak. And they knew, everybody knows, that it is filled with physical, verbal, and mental abuse. But why do men, especially male freshmen, why do they volunteer for the Marines? The same reason why many female freshmen volunteer for the cheerleading club or K-pop dance club. I found this very strange too, because in order to join these clubs, many female students have to put themselves on restrictive diets and also adapt to the restrictive culture of these, university K-pop dance groups. It's something that I never understood. So why do both male freshmen and female freshmen volunteer for this type of hardship and abuse? Well, it's so that when they go out into society, they can prove their physical prowess. Men can the male freshmen, they can come out, they can put this on their chest, and even if they are still weak and lazy, they can say, look at me, I'm a tough guy. I have physical prowess. And everybody will look at him and say, oh my God, he's a Marine. I shouldn't mess with him. Also, female students, when they hang out with their friends, they can say, oh, did you know that when I was a freshman, I was part of the K-pop dance group? And how will their friends reply? They will say, "Oh my God, really? You must be so pretty and popular." People, both men and women, will go to great lengths in order to prove their physical or academic prowess. However, I recommend that if you are a Mujok student currently, I recommend not focusing on your physical prowess, but your academic prowess. Again, thank you so much for watching this video, and I will talk to you later.